Hey, it's August 23rd, 2011, and got a lot of responses from my last video about Egypt and Israel and the tensions that have been going on recently. Um, Things are dying down, more facts are coming out, everyone's calming down a little bit, which is good. Some facts that I've read that I don't see a lot everywhere, but it seems like the IDF is reporting that they had accidentally killed three Egyptian officers, but two of them were actually killed by the terrorists. One of them blew himself up and caused those two Egyptian officers to sustain injuries that killed them. I mean, it's conflict, and it's hard to know what's happening when there's bullets flying around, but the IDF report is showing that two of them were killed by Islamic terrorists, the same guys that crossed the border from Sinai into Israel and killed 11 Israelis. So the real tragedy here is that we have five innocent Egyptian officers that died, and then we have 11 innocent Israelis that died. And that's the saddest part about all this. And I'd like to, say again, there's no difference between those 11 Israelis or the five Egyptian officers that died. What happened was Islamic terrorists woke up that day. They said, we're going to go out and murder people. And because of their decision to do that, 16 innocent people died, all equal. All of the lives of all these people are completely equal. None of them were more valuable than the other ones. It's just so sad that there are people who wake up and decide that they're going to murder, and then it causes something like this. Because we can look at the logical progression and the realities here. Israel doesn't wake up and say, okay, well, it's time to fly into Sinai and murder Egyptian police officers because that's what gets us off in the morning. That's not what's happening. They don't want to go into Sinai. They don't want to fight and kill these people, and they didn't want to kill those five Egyptian police officers. This is just the reality of it. If you think that they do wake up and want to do this, there's nothing I can really do. I mean, your mind is in a completely different world. But for the people who are more, in the center and they're willing to look at things, the problem is not Egypt, and the problem's not Israel. It's these guys that wake up and they decide that they're going to murder people. I guess in more news, what's been happening lately, there's been a bunch of polls that came out showing that 65% of Egyptians want to break their peace treaty with Israel, which this begs the question, because just a few weeks ago there was a poll that came out and showed only 35% support breaking up a peace treaty with Israel. So I'm not really into the whole poll thing here. And then even beyond that, what we're not seeing is what do these people really want? There's no follow-up question. What does not supporting peace mean? What does breaking that peace treaty mean? If you ask these people, do you support the peace treaty with Israel? They say no. Then you say, okay, well, do you want full-blown war right now? Full out to the end war? Winner take all. Is that what you want? Full out death and destruction to the very end? And I don't think they're going to want that. I think a lot of this is frustration and fear. Egyptians don't have a president, and I think that they're just scared because I mean it's a scary time for them, and the economy there is just really bad. Some other stuff that's coming out is only 40% support American ties. I mean, you're going to see some negativity coming out of this because America and Israel worked, closely with Mubarak, and Mubarak oppressed them for a while. And this isn't, it's a mistake that America and Israel did. I don't know what other choices they had. They had to work with this guy, But something I would like to point out: if you're Egyptian and you're watching this, um, and the thoughts and ideas in your head are coming out that Israel's our enemy, we just gotta break off this peace treaty, and Israel's the cause of all our problems. I wanna show to you that this type of thinking and this mentality is what got Egypt into this problem in the first place. Um, this mentality resulted in Law Number 162 back in 1958. This is the emergency law rule. This is what caused all of the constitutional rights to be suspended, um, why censorship was legal, the abolishment of street demonstrations. I mean, all of the oppression that happened was because people just wanted to destroy Israel, and Israel was the enemy. And people took this, they manipulated it, and they used laws to stay in power, gain wealth, and oppress, the entire Egyptian country for the last 29 years. This law culminated in 17,000 people being detained for under this law, and I mean, some people are estimating as many as 30,000 political prisoners. So 17,000 people were detained by the law, and another 30,000 are prisoners because of this law. Because people they just can't get it out of their minds that we don't have the problem is Israel when the problem is inside Egypt. Something that's favorable that came out in the news: 71% of Egyptians say that they prefer democracy. Different polls, it runs somewhere between 65 and 75%. I think it's really positive. Um, Time will tell. We'll see in September. They're going to elect their president, and I think everything's going to get better. I think relations with Israel and Egypt will get better during this time. But if Egyptians want democracy and they want freedom, they want freedom of speech and freedom to assemble, freedoms of religion, all of these things, they would benefit more from focusing on internal problems and not externalizing things and blaming Israel. And in fact, being friendly with Israel is going to help the transition into democracy, and it's just going to help the economy better. Um, I mean, if Egyptians just fall back into the same pattern, this mindless, hatred and fear, somebody else can come along and manipulate this, convince the people that he's the right guy to funnel their fears and hatreds toward Israel through, and they're gonna end up with some guy who's gonna do the same thing and oppress people, gain more power, gain money, manipulate the system. There's going to be corruption. So, I mean, Egyptians just need to worry about right now getting rid of corruption, getting democracy set into place, and ensuring that everybody has freedoms. Um, so I guess I'm saying that it's going to be better for Egyptians to seek peace and friendship with Israel. Um, there's two options that you see. There's peace and democracy and a good relationship with Israel, and what's going to come from that is economic prosperity, jobs, education. I mean, better security, more personal freedoms, more equality. If things just devolve into a war in the most extreme cases, it's just going to be, I mean, death and destruction on huge, vast levels. Worst case scenarios involve genocides and nuclear wars and stuff. I mean, there's no sense in allowing your fears and angers to just plunge your country into that. Um, so I guess I just needed to follow up on my last video, um, because I think that there's a lot of positive stuff that can come from Egypt, and I think everyone should not get too scared and just wait for September and see what happens with the election, and I think everything's going to work out pretty good because I think most Egyptians actually really worry about economic things like how their children are doing, the education, and you know, feeding themselves and housing themselves. So I think everyone should just stay